Hi, my name is Palak and this is my task 2 of web development internship project. So my task 2 is a tribute page, and for this project I chose Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi, one of the most iconic leaders of India's first war of independence. I built this page using HTML and CSS only, and in this video I will be explain my step-by-step code. This is my project folder, and here is my task 2, and these are the HTML and CSS file of it. So let's start with the HTML structure, and here this is the documentation of HTML, language English, and then the head section, and the head section includes the meta description and the title of my page, and I also imported Google fonts here, and also I linked a style.css file for this page. And after the head element, this is the body tag, which is basically a container that contains everything on the page. So the page start with the header section, and the header section here is our main heading H1 Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi, and then a short subtitle of birth and that details, as you can see here also. And this is the button, which is a call to action button, we can say, that is linked to timeline section. And then I use figure element for adding an image, that is here, you can see. And then comes the main section where I use grid layout to create two columns or a card, we can say. On the left here is a biography card, and there are more some headings like early life and personal, and her role in 1857, her legacy. And the other side there is a quick fact section which includes her birth name, born, spouse, pronunciation, and so on. Also, there is a small card for a motivational quote. So these are the two columns you can see here also. Right now I am using two windows, that's why we only can see one column, but if I set it to full screen, then here you can see the actual layout of this page. So let's move to the another section. So after that there is a timeline section, and in the timeline section here is a subheading which is timeline, and for each timeline I use a dot and a description. I use this timeline dot for bullet styling. Each timeline has a dot and a short description. Here are some key events of her life, and after the timeline we have a short code card for inspiration, and then we have a simple footer. That's for our index.html. Now let's go to the CSS file. So in CSS, I started my styling, removing default margin and padding, also giving my box size to border box, and then giving my body to 100% height, and then this is some styling, some other styling for body like font family, line height, and background. And these are some browser specific CSS properties that is used for improving our text rendering in our screen. And now here is our hero section or header section, we can say. I use a grid layout for my hero section, and this and grid template column, which is one fraction, is for giving full width to my column. And then align item is center, there's gap, padding, border radius, and a gradient background. And then This is the CSS for the inner elements of hero section, and here is for title block, and then for our h1 heading, and this is styling for our hero portrait. I have given the portrait width 240 pixel and height 300 pixel. Also give a border radius of 12 pixels and a box shadow also. And then here is styling for the image, and the image is styled with fixed size and rounded corners and also a box shadow. And then the CSS for grid layout and the card, which is the basic CSS. And then comes to the biography. Here's the heading 2 and the paragraph, and then for the timeline I use flexbox to align the dots and text side by side. And here I gave the dots a yellowish golden color for highlighting it. And I also added media queries for making my layout responsive. And here you can see when the skin size is get smaller, my grid will change to single columns and the text and image scales down. You can see it here like this. Here you can see this is the actual layout. When I am changing the screen size, my layout is also changing, as you can see here. And now at the end, here is CSS for my CTA button, which is here, read to story. Now let's have a look on this page. Here you can see this is our main heading and a short description, a portrait of Rani Lakshmibai. Here is the button which is linked to timeline, and these are two columns. And that's all for this page, and this project helped me to practice semantic HTML elements and CSS layout, grids, flexbox and many more. And that's all for this page. And if you want the full code, then you can find it on my GitHub repository. Here is the link of my GitHub repository. Thank you.